Hello, this is a recording of a Facebook Live and being uploaded to YouTube. So there will be a few minutes before I'm waiting for people to arrive. So if you're watching this on YouTube, you can just move along a few minutes just while I'm waiting for people to arrive. If you are going to watch while you're waiting, sorry, this is what I'm going to be making. All will be revealed quite shortly, and I'm hoping there'll be some time to do something else, which I've only done once, so we'll see how that goes. So I'm just going to get my screen ready so I can see comments. It's always nice to see that number one appear. Don't know who that is that's joined me. Oh, we've got a couple of people. So if you have popped in and you do want to leave some comments, please just drop a comment in the chat. Let me know that you can hear me okay. And just as I go live, one of my kids starts messaging me. Oh. This is my daughter who's just sent me a video of her little stepson who used to be petrified of the bath, and he's now sat in there splashing and laughing. That's lovely. Bless his heart. I'm glad you can hear me, Karen. Hello, thank you for joining me. Yeah, no problem, Karen. That's fine. I've got a couple of Karens online with me. All the ones about to about to drop out. So even if there aren't many people with us tonight, I am just going to plough on. This will stay recorded in this on the page, and there will also be a recording of it in YouTube. I think we've got a couple of more people that have joined us. I can see the number just popping up a little bit more. So I'm going to be using today, this is Sweet Symmetry. But what I'm going to be using for this particular card is You're a Peach. And I'm going to be using that with some... Hello there, Dad's on the line. I'm going to be using some Calypso Coral card and You're a Peach designer series paper. My dad's going to say this is the only way I get to talk to you. No sarky comments, please, Dad. Right, so this is the DSP that I'm going to be using. And what I'm going to be making, because I'm starting to think that I've got to go back to work in the next week or so. And what gets me through my working week is coffee. And these sachets... These are the sachets that I use. I've not been paid by Nescafe to promote these. Are these sachets of coffee. That's what gets me through the week. So I allow myself one of these every day, no more than one, otherwise I'm bouncing off the walls. But they tend to just get chucked in my bag, or they just end up being kicked around my desk. So I just wanted somewhere for them to put on my desk so that when I come in the morning, I can just grab one of these, make it, and then be ready for the day. So that's what I'm going to be making with the You're a Peach DSP. So I'm going to be using for this, because I need it to be a little bit on the sturdy side, is some thick basic white cardstock. I'm going to lift this camera up a little bit. Hello there, Hazel. Let's just lift that up slightly. There we are. Sorry, the picture's gone a bit pixelated. We've got internet problems here at the moment, so I will see how it goes. It's looking okay on my screen at the moment. We'll see what happens there. So this is a piece of thick, basic white cardstock, and I'm going to trim that down. I've got my measurements here because they were not going right earlier. I'm going to trim this down to 8 1/4, so the short side is okay, by 11 1/4. So all I need to do, just check that, all I need to do is just whip a little bit of cards off there. Hello there, Anne. So 8 1/4 by 11 1/4. Now on the short side, I'm going to score this at 1/2 inch. So with my paper trimmer, 1/2 inch, 1 3/4. I'll do a blog post for this with all the measurements, and I'll post it up on my page once it's ready. Excuse me. Yeah, 1 3/4, 6 1/2, and 7 1/2. That doesn't seem right. 7 1/2. Yeah, it is right. It isn't right. I'm going to check that in a second because that isn't right. The long side is 5 3/4. And 7. I just need to add up my numbers here again. I've not been able to add up properly. Yeah. Never ask an accountant to add up anything. So 1/2 inch, 1 3/4 of an inch, 6 1/2, and 7 3/4. Oh, that's what I hate about going live, when things like that go wrong. And then what I'm going to do is fold and burnish all of those score lines. So the original one that I made, it had a depth of 1 inch, and it wasn't quite enough to fit in a 5th sachet. So I've just made it a little bit bigger for it to be able to fit onto a piece of A4 cardstock. So now I've got those folded and burnished. What I want you to be able to see is that this is the bigger rectangle, and that's the back. And then this smaller rectangle is the front. So that when it's all set up, once we've done all of our cutting and that on it, the front is slightly lower than the back. So now you need to do some cutting. And what we're going to do is get rid of first these 2 rectangles here and these 2 rectangles here. We don't need those, so we'll get rid of them. I would normally use bigger scissors, but I was just clearing things away earlier, and then my big scissors just fell to the back of behind my desk, and now I can't get to them. Let's get a better pair of scissors. Hello there, Kathy. Kind of out of the loop of doing lives, and I feel a little bit fingers and thumbs. That could have been cut just so much better. It's because these scissors aren't great. And I am not crawling down the back of the desk now to go and retrieve the others. I think doing these lives, there's always an element of what if it goes wrong. With a YouTube video, I can just press stop and start again. Can't with this. I have practiced this, I've made this tonight, but changed the measurements. That might not have been my brightest idea. So what we now have, so there's the back, so that's going to sit up like that. I've got these two tabs here, these two squares, and I want to get rid of this tab that sits either side of that. So I'm just going to cut up to the second score line on the other side of that square. This thick cardstock is super thick, that's why I'm struggling. And then we'll get rid of this little rectangular tab here. And I'm just going to, just so that it all fits together, just wedge into that carefully. And then with this side, I'm just going to wedge in there just slightly as well. Again, it just stops any overhang and it all sits together quite nicely. Gets a little bit fiddly when we start to stick this together. So back on the other side with this square, we'll just cut up to there, get rid of that little rectangle there, and I'm just going to wedge into there just again to make that all close up nicely. And then two small wedges into that line there. Let me show you what we've got. This is the inside, and we'll start decorating this shortly. So there are our sides, and these tabs hold it all together. This holds the bottom of this together, and then there's the back. Now I've decided on this one that I made, I didn't decorate the back, I couldn't see the point. It's going to sit to one side of my computer at work and just sit towards with it to the wall. It was pointless to decorate the back, but I'm going to decorate the sides and the front. But I am also going to put something in here just to kind of, what you can see what I've done there, just to give it a little bit of background. The other thing that I've done as well is to round off the corners on here to make this look a little bit nicer. So that's rounded that off. And then what we'll do, we'll put this together and then I'll decorate it. So I'm using tear and tape, which there it is, hiding under my card. I'm using tear and tape. I found that's gone together a lot easier with that. You might find that liquid glue is better. So I'm just going to run that. This is on the outside of the box. I'm going to run that along that score line there. And along this score line here. I'm hoping you can see that. My screen's a couple of seconds behind. Oh yeah, we can. Oh, got a bit of card stuck there. And then on these tabs here, the same thing. So the reason for doing this, I just wanted to brighten up my desk a little bit. And if there's time on today's live, I'm going to make something else as well that will complement it. So this is where it gets a bit fiddly. Need a bit of patience. So what I'm going to be doing once I've taken this this paper off here is I'm going to tuck this tab behind this. Hoping you can see this. And then this tab here sticks to the back. And it all gets a little bit fiddly. You just need to stay patient. You're very quiet on here tonight. So I'm going to take all of this off. So, as I said, this tab behind this here turn that around so I can see it. So it's a little bit difficult because I can't get my face right up to that. And then just push that down, so from the inside and the outside. Using white paper, make sure your hands are clean. You haven't dunked them in any ink or anything like that. And then this tab here sticks to the back. I have to keep moving it round, which then makes it difficult for you to see. And I've stuck that again. I did this earlier. Stuck that to the table. So you want the score line to match the cut line as best you can. Same with this. Now this is where it gets a bit difficult. Tuck that tab in there to stick to the side. And then that tab then sticks to the back. I just need that to match, and it is battling with me at the moment. Oh, I thought that was going to be a disaster, but that worked. So there is the basis of your box, and you can decorate that however you like. What I wanted to do, what you've seen that I've done here, is I've got card behind my paper. Oh, hi there, Greg. You can do it. Goodness me, if I can do it, you can do it. I am using card in front of the DSP. I just thought it made it a little bit more sturdy, a bit more rigid. Not that these are particularly heavy, but I don't know, it just gave it some sturdiness. Also, this one is only 1 inch, and I'm just thinking with the 1.25 inch, again, that might make it a bit more sturdy. So let's decorate this. I have got tons of scrap. This is a great way of getting rid of some scrap of cards. I've got some tons of scrap of Calypso Coral. Now what I need to do is just choose my paper that I'm going to use. Don't necessarily have to have the front matching the sides, and I think what I might do is have some dots on the side. No, maybe not. Oh dear, here we go. I have to decide something. I'm definitely going to have that on the front, or I might have that on the front. Oh god, dear. Yeah, let's put that on the front, and then if there's enough, I'll have that on the sides. Totally indecisive. Or is it undecisive? Indecisive. So getting my scrap of Calypso Coral. See, some of this has got bent, but that doesn't matter. We can trim that off. So this front piece is going to measure, what's it going to measure? 4 5/8 by 4 1/8. These measurements always seem complicated, but the trimmer makes it super easy. Just put that to one side for a moment. So that's going to sit on there, but I'm going to round the corners. I'll do that in a second. I want to put that on there first. I love the blue and the orange. This will measure 4 inches by 4 1/2 inches. Let's get this right, because we've got a direction on this. This is 4 1/2 along the top. So the width of it 4 1/2, the depth of it 4. For a minute there, that didn't look right, and that's why I stopped. We'll do the sides in a second. Greg, I'd love you to have a go at this. You can replay this recording as many times as you like and have a go. You might be able to round your corners better than I can. So I've rounded those off, and I'll round this one off as well. And And anything that you're decorating with bits and pieces of DSP, again, is a great way of using up scrap. And if you were making this as a present for somebody, you could then make a coordinating card if you really just wanted to sit at your desk and stick stuff together. Oh, that's gummed up a bit. So get that even. That's what the liquid glue helps us to do, to get that even. Now, the reason I didn't put this on here before I stuck it all together is that I just would have ended up putting it on upside down. And the white card just picks out the white in here as well, which is nice and pretty. And a box like this can hold anything. Pens, pencils, I've put record cards in these before now, anything you like. Tea bags. What else does a teacher need to get them through the day? Valium. So these, the width of this is 1 1/4. So we want a piece of card that's 1 1/8 by 4 1/8. And then what I'll do, I will, once this is in situ at my desk, when do I go back to work? A week on Tuesday. Once this is in situ at my desk, I'll send a picture of it to show you. What did this have to be? 4 inches. Oh, I hope I've got this right, it's the only bit I've got left. 4 inches by 1 inch. Don't know, I'm guessing I've got my measurements written here. And we'll do that again. 1 inch. Yeah, absolutely. When we're all looking around for a blank envelope. Who's had the envelopes? Yeah. Mine are just stuffed in a drawer, so this would be good for blank envelopes. You can stick your stamps in there as well. And then this is 1 1/4 by 4, no, 1 1/8, sorry, 1 1/8 by 4 1/8. So I'm just going to stick these and round them. So today has been a day of visiting people. I went into town and saw a friend that I haven't seen since before our December lockdown. And then I popped over to see our elderly neighbours who, since last March's lockdown, have barely been out. So they don't see a lot of people. So I popped over there and she made me a cake. Such a sweet couple. Just going to round these as well. This rounder on this trio punch makes this job really easy. Though it doesn't, I find I don't press it down hard enough and it doesn't get the best round. Sorry, this, if the camera is shaking. Right, that's enough of that. Stick these on. I've got to do the backing yet as well, the back of the box. I would never have put this orange with blue, but actually I think it's quite striking. So I'm just going to put those on the sides. Just thought it makes it look a little bit different with those corners rounded. I've made something similar to this before and I put ribbon around it. You can decorate it however you like. You could have, you could do some punching out on here as well and put some different images, some die cuts, you know, whatever floats your boat, whatever you think would suit your box. Now what I'm going to do is put something here, so I just want something just to sit down there at the back of it, and that needs to measure, let me have a think what it needs to measure, 4 5/8 across. And then how far you want it to go to the back of the box is entirely up to you. And I'm thinking if I'm unlikely to use that card, I could just stick that in there like that. So, but I'm not going to, because it'd be difficult to stick down. Let's do that 2.5 inches maybe. Let's get a ruler and have a look. Oh yeah, 2.5 will be fine. And I'm going to round these as well, seeing as I've rounded the card. I haven't backed this onto card. I didn't think it was necessary. But if you want to, then you go ahead. Still haven't checked yet to see if it will hold that 5th sachet of coffee. We'll find out in a minute. So with a week to go before I go back to work, I'm going to have to start acclimatising myself to getting up early in the morning. I tried this morning, set my alarm for 7 o'clock. No, I just switched it straight back off again. Going to put that there. I'm hoping you can see that. Yeah, I can see that in my monitor. So there we go. So something quite pretty to sit on a desk. You don't have to have it pretty. There are some papers. So for instance, I was going to use this. This is Beauty of the Earth DSP. I did think about using that because I like the Misty Moonlight card that's here and the green. And I love that as well. But the peach won the day for me. That would look nicer on my desk. Maybe if you were making this for somebody who doesn't like flowers, or maybe if you're making it, if you're looking at that kind of masculine feminine differentiation, then you might want to go for something like this or something plainer. It's entirely up to you. So let's find my coffee. Let's get my cappuccinos and lattes in here. I was worried that wouldn't be wide enough. So I used to work 4 days a week, 4 in the office or 4 in the classroom and 1 at home. But now it's 5. So on that 5th day that I'm not used to, I might need an extra cup of coffee. And there we go. I will put that on my desk when I go back on the 31st, and I'll send you a photo and I'll show you where that is sat on my desk. But you know, it doesn't have to be for sachets of coffee. You can make this a shorter box, perhaps fill it with tea. You can make it narrower, taller, put pens and pencils in there. So for instance, I'm going to make something in a minute for these, but these are my favourite metallic pens, which I do have to have downwards, but you could get lots of pens and pencils in there. You could put some of your I would make it the bottom narrower if you're going to put pens and pencils in there. All sorts of things. We've got Greg's going to put his envelopes and his correspondence in there, keep it all together. So there's that box. I'm going to put my coffee in there and I'm going to put it in my crate that's going to go to the office next week. In fact, I'm not going to put the other two in there because that glue in there is still drying off. Let's put that up on my shelf. So, God, I've done that in about 30 minutes. Now, I started making a pen pot and I got nowhere with it really. All I got was the basic shape. So I'm going to make this again and get it finished. So you can see that. You can see that I'm still using the rounding of these panels, just makes it look a little bit prettier. But I was just using some grey card because I very, very rarely use grey. But I thought actually the Night of Navy with the grey looked quite smart. But I'm going to make it in some brighter colours. I'm going to stick with the Yorta Peach. And I'm probably might have to go with that or alternate it with this, because these panels are 1.5 inches. I made it with 1 inch, and that also, I wonder if I can grab this fell down the back of the desk as well. I didn't decorate it, but I made it 1 inch and it was taller as well. But I felt that once I got a few pens in there, it started to potentially, although this was only a prototype, it was starting to potentially become a bit wobbly. So you can make this any size you like. So with this hexagon, these are 1 inch panels and I've made it quite tall. So with 1 inch panels, it also has a 1 inch bottom. Ignore this, that's just me seeing what it sticks to. It's just a prototype. This is shorter, but I think because it's shorter, it's a little bit more robust. I'm going to make it in thick white cardstock and I'm going to put a round bottom on it, which I've already die cut. So, but if you wanted to make, you need to think about the size of your card, but you could probably, if you were using, no, you couldn't if you were using 12 by 12, you couldn't do that either. So your panels can probably just be a maximum of maybe 1 3/4 inches wide, but then you'll get into a really big hexagon. So I'm going to do 1.5 again, and I want my box to be the same height as this one, and I forgot what height I did it. I think I guessed it actually. Yeah, it's 4 inches. I didn't guess it at all. It's 4 inches. And then each of my panels is 1.5 inches. So 1.5 multiplied by 6 is 9. And then we need a 1/2 inch tab on the end. So we need a piece of card 9.5 inches wide. And then the height of it will be 4. And then because each of the panels is 1.5 inches, we add 1.5 inches onto that. So 5.5 by 9.5. It's like a maths lesson. So 9.5 inches by 5.5 inches. To do the right measurement, I wasn't concentrating there because I'm thinking, it's 6 multiplied by 1.5, 9. It is. It is. And then I need to score these. On the short side, score at 1.5. And then on the long side, you are going to score at, this goes to show if I can do my 1.5 times table. Oh, hi there, Sylvia. It's already Saturday morning for you, isn't it? Happy weekend. We're still on Friday night. 1.5. Sylvia, I'm trying to do my 1.5 times table. 3, 4.5, 6, 7.5, and 9. Now the only complicated bit about this particular project is the bottom. It needs a bit of patience. Oh, you're still in lockdown, aren't you? How long do you think that's going to go on for? Or is that, how long's a piece of string? So I'm just going to fold and burnish all of my score lines. And the other thing I'm going to do is decorate this before I stick it together. So I'm still going to be using some strips of Calypso Coral. I've got loads of scrap of this here, so I'm going to do that. So I need 6 of those that measure 1 3/8 by 3 7/8. So I want 6 of those. So it's going to be a bit tedious for you to watch me do this. I would have had it prepped beforehand, but I just ran out of time. I don't know where it went. What are these now? 1 3/8. One 3/8 by 3 7/8. Sorry, this is really tedious to watch. Oh, can I get away with that? I better not, because it'll look bad. That's spot on. Let's just check these are all right. So they are, I've got 4 of those, I just need 2 more. And I think, you know, Friday night lives are now getting less popular, just because the country is now, well, here in the UK it is, people have got things to do on Friday nights now, so tuning into a Facebook Live isn't kind of the first thing that people are thinking about. What am I doing here? No, that is right. But for me, it's like, God, I'm forgetting what I'm doing. It's like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. I need content for my YouTube channel. I like doing Facebook Lives because people do come and join me. And yeah, it does just definitely kill 2 birds with 1 stone. You're going to have, this is just going to shake my camera. Bear with me while I do these. What are people's plans for the weekend? Sylvie's has already started. I'm going to have a cup of tea with my daughter and step-grandson tomorrow. And then I've got to do some ironing and clean my house tomorrow. What's everybody else up to? You're going to have to watch me do these with the DSP as well. How dull. You can go off and make a brew while I'm doing this. When I cut out the DSP, I'm going to have 3 pieces of one design and 3 pieces of another, just to break it up a bit. Oh goodness, this is boring. I bet The noise is horrible coming through on the microphone. Right, so I've got 6 of those, so they're going to sit in there like that. Little sigh of relief. So I thought, God, what if they're the wrong size? They are the right size. And then for my DSP, I should be able to get 3 out of that. Maybe we could have some blue. Let's have some blue. So 3 each of those. Oh, Greg's working all weekend. Keeps you out of trouble. Yeah, I've had to do some bits and pieces of work, even though I am on annual leave, just a little bit to keep things ticking over. It does keep us out of trouble, doesn't it? So these are 1 1/4 inches wide, so I'll just do 2 of those. 3 of those, can't count. So 3 of those, 1 1/4 wide by 3 3/4. I could do all 3 in this at the same time, but then there'll be a disaster. I don't know what I'll do with these scraps. I have to find something to do. I hate throwing DSP away. And then I'll do this one. Decide which way up I want it. So again, 1 1/4 wide, 3 of these. So if you never come across my YouTube channel before, I've just mentioned now that I use these as YouTube content. If you've never seen me on YouTube before, just go and find me Taffy Crafting. And there's loads of stuff on there. 3 3/4. There's something for everybody on there. I don't do very much at all that's super complicated. Right, guess what's coming next? Hello, Victoria. Have you had a nice day? I haven't used a single mini stamping dimensional, Victoria. Not one. That's Victoria probably fainting now. I should come back with a sarcastic comment. But watching me rounding all of these is pretty tedious, and it's just making the camera shake. We're nearly there. Well, we're not actually. No, really, I'm okay. I haven't stamped anything. I haven't stamped anything. I've just been... I wonder if you could do 2 of these at the same time. No. I've just been folding and sticking card and DSP. I'll show you what I've made in a second. Once I've done this, I'm just boring everybody to tears at the moment while they're watching me round those. Right, 1 more of these strips to do. I really wish I'd found the time earlier to do this, but I just ran out. Just doing my good deed for the day and visiting my elderly neighbours. Right. Right, let's get these stuck on. And that's a terrible rounding on there. We'll get these stuck on. And then while they're drying, I can put the main structure together. So I'm going to have 3 blue ones and 3 floral ones. You have to sit and watch me do this. Yeah. Yes, not one dimensional. They're not even on my desk. And it's why my desk has stayed relatively tidy this evening. This blue and orange is so so vibrant. I don't know if it goes or not. Just think it's a bit different. Stampin' Up wouldn't have put all of this together if they didn't think it went together. So I said in a Facebook Live, can't remember when it was, Monday I think, could have been Tuesday, that I'm going to put some kits together of these, of boxes and things. So I can't put stamped images in any of these, but I can put boxes. I'd really love to know if anybody would be perhaps interested in these as well. And I can just put together some kits for this. So if you would like to have a go at this, but want it all pre-prepared, watch this space. I think it's after using more than 40 dimensionals the other night that I thought, well, I was a bit worried I was running out. Right, so we've got this. Let's stick these on here first. So I always place where I want to put things, and then I don't get into any bother then. Put those on there. I'm dreading putting the bottom together. It is not the easiest thing. It needs a steady hand and a lot of patience and perseverance and faith that it will work. And I should be able to do both of these projects within the hour, which, you know, is a good indicator to you if you're going to do some crafting and have a go at this and follow along. If you replay this, unless you're writing the instructions as I'm going, that you could get these made within an hour. If you put in an hour to one side to craft. So if Victoria's still with me, have you had a nice day? The old chat has been very quiet today. I think we've all been busy doing stuff. Okay. So that's 6 of those panels on there. I think that's really lovely and bright and vibrant. Now, in an ideal world, you would let those dry off, but this is a Facebook Live. So each of these, we've got 6 squares and then we've got 2 little rectangles. So for each of these squares, we're going to cut up to the first score line. And these are going to form the bottom of our whatever you want to use it for. I'm putting pens in mine. Could be pencils, felt tips, Sharpies. This little mini rectangle is going to come off completely. So cut up to the first score line and then cut diagonally into it from the other rectangle, like that. And then you're going to do the same here. Just whip that off there like that. Greg's saying that's good. Excellent, Greg, thank you. So Victoria's been to Shibden Park. It's got a little boarding lake and a mini train. Ah, that's very nice. Cadbury flakes in here, not a bad idea at all. I bought some, I went to a shop, we've got a shop here in the UK called Home Bargains that sells stuff cheap. And I bought loads of chocolate things. So I bought some Cadbury twirls. I thought, oh, I'll make some nice boxes for them to go in. I ate them. I think I gave my daughter a couple. I think my husband had one, and then I ate the lot. Right, where's my tear and tape? Oh God, it's gone. There it is. And then I bought some walnut whips, and then I proceeded to eat most of those as well. So I've also got some raspberry ruffles. I don't think they're going to fit in here, but we'll give it a go because it is going to be the only sweet that I've actually got available. So the first thing I'm going to do, well, first is stop rabbiting. The second thing, I've just put some tape on this tab here. And what I'm going to do when I take that off is then fold that round, and that forms our hexagon. You can't beat a walnut whip. It's just something that takes me back to my childhood. I always remember it being quite a grown-up sweet to eat, probably because it had a walnut on it. I always just remember my dad had them. He was on this call just now. I don't know if he still is. So I always remember my dad eating walnut whips. And then my kids used to have them, and their dad used to give them walnut whips when they used to go and visit him. So when I saw them, I bought them, and I thought, I've got one left. I saved one, and I'll make a little box for it. So, sorry, I should explain what's going on. So there on the outside is the I've put the tear and tape on there. So turn it over and then fold that over there and then bring that over. And if your scoring and your cutting has been accurate, it will meet perfectly. Sometimes it's a little bit off because the scoreboard might have been a little bit off, or you might have been a little bit off. So that is as it is at the moment. I think that's really pretty. What Stampin' Up are very good at is getting these colours together. What we need some patience for now is keeping that hexagon shape and not kind of a funny shape when we put this bottom together. It is tricky, and I'm nervous. So I've tried it with tear and tape, but I couldn't get each flap to stick to each other. And we have to do these in opposites. So the first thing I'll do is bring these two together, and if the edges match, and if you look over it, which I can't do, otherwise you get to see the top of my head, you should be able to see that you're keeping your hexagon shape while sticking those together. And it's the first two that are tricky. So just fold these out of the way so that you can see your hexagon shape, and make sure that it stays hexagon shape. I think wet glue works better with this because you can wiggle it while you get it into position. So you see, it just wants to wibble and wobble about. So you're in charge of it. Grab hold of it and then bring this over. Make sure the edges match. Make sure that your hexagon stays as a hexagon shape, and then you've got to wait for that glue to grab. And you're going to try and keep it. I think I've got that. And just hold these together. And it's this first one that is the most tricky, because you need that glue to grab, but you also see, and it's trying to unstick, but I'm trying to keep that in a hexagon shape. I think I'm doing all right. It's getting there. It's getting there. Come on, stick. And then, I think that's sticking. What that's going to do then, we're then going to fold these over. And then again, just while this one is still wet, you can also have a little manoeuvre about there. It's the one thing about this project I don't like, but 'tis the way it is. So we know we're just about right because the raw edges match, but we don't want to push it together too much, otherwise we'll push it out of shape. Ah, you got to see what I mean. You've got to have patience. Now what you can do, if it stays in shape, you can turn that round, get something just to poke down there to make it all stick together. A bone folder serves well, but I can't find mine. Only had it about 2 minutes ago. There's a ruler. Stick that down there like that. Turn it back. And I just want to manoeuvre those in place like that. bit more glue, no mini dimensionals, and put that on there like that. And again, we'll wait a couple of minutes. Now, just while I'm waiting for that to grab, I've got, using the layering circle dies, I've die cut a piece of Calypso coral just for this to sit on here. But I do need that just to, yeah, that's setting now. And we're going to pop that on there like that. I was going to put a piece of DSP on this, but it just would have been lost. So what I need to make sure is that in fact, it fits absolutely perfectly. Now I think I'm going to put tear and tape on that because I think it actually grabs better, but I'm worried about, in fact, what I'm going to do is unpeel a bit rather than stick it straight on. So I'm going to run a piece right along the middle. Now, something that while I'm doing this, I'll tell you about something that's happening soon. I've got to do a crafting demonstration and I've got to think of something to make. Do you know what? I've had no idea. Should I go 3D, like something like this, or a gift box or something, or should I go card? I can't decide, and I need to make up my mind before I go back to work. Otherwise, I won't have time to do it. Right, I'm hoping this will work with tear and tape. If it doesn't, I'm in bother. So I'm just going to pick these off here. And I might run another bit along these sides here. That didn't work. The one thing about me doing Facebook Lives, I have to be patient. Can't swear out loud. But I'm really struggling to get this off. Oh, come on. That's because I've got a bit of an uneven surface here. And I'm going to put some bits on the side there. Probably would have been better off with liquid glue. I just think that tear and tape is stickier. Well, I would have got this done in an hour if this hadn't have been so fiddly. And one thing I've realised is that not using liquid glue means this has got to go down first time. Maybe if I thought about that beforehand, I might have used liquid glue. Anyway, I have faith, see? Patience and faith. Right, here we go then. So I'm just lining this up here, making sure that none of the points go over, because I know that it does fit. And I'm going to let that go down, but not stick it down too hard. No, that's fitted. And then, show me where my bone folder had gone. There it is. Just going to press that down. Now, if you wanted to, you could make a circle that goes in the middle, just to cover up that, but I definitely don't have the patience for that. A press down. Then we've got a really pretty pot to put whatever you want in. So let me get my lovely metallic pens out. A student bought me these. What did she buy them for? I think for my birthday. I turned 50 in the year and she was kind enough to buy buy me some loads of stationery because she knows I'm obsessed. So I've got my pens there. What else have I got? Oh, I can get my little ruler in there. What else I've got? I've got a biro. Need to have a pencil. All good accountants have a pencil. So there we go. That's quite robust actually. That's going nowhere, and that was quite simple to make. So ready for my desk at work. Where's my coffee popcorn? Ready for my desk at work. I've got my sachets of coffee. I don't know where the fifth one went. I need 5 for the week. No, I think it's got to be 4. I think the bottom of that has got to be wider, so I need to be using 12 by 12 for that. But there I've got my coordinating coffee sachets. I could stick a tea bag in there, couldn't I? Stick a tea bag in there. And pen pot, and they're going to sit on my desk at work. And like I said, I will take a picture of them in situ. I might make a few more of them and go and stick them on colleagues' desks as a Happy New Year present. So I did all of that in about an hour. That's I'm pleased with that. And thank you everyone for joining me as people have dipped in and out of this. I'm always appreciative of anybody who watches, whether it's all the way through or just for a few minutes. Thank you ever so much. I will keep thinking about these kits, the people that are interested in them. Keep an eye on this page and I'll see how I'm going to do those. And I will be back again. I have to think about when I'm going to be back. The weekend is always a little bit difficult, and it might just be easier for me to come back on Monday. But you never know, there might be some impromptu live going on sometime over the weekend. Thank you ever so much. Lovely, lovely love hearts coming up there. Thank you, Victoria. Thank you, Greg, Kathy. Both Karens have been on at some point. Sylvia's there. So thank you ever so much. And if I don't see you before, have an absolutely fabulous weekend. And I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.